I'm sure by now you have heard about the goodness that is ChatGPT in all things marketing when it comes to outlining content, giving you topics, keyword research. Well, today we're going to talk about ChatGPT and Pinterest marketing and how you can pair the two together to power up your Pinterest marketing strategy. And actually, if you're in a content rut or if you just don't understand what you're doing, then this might actually help you to speed past some of those roadblocks that you might be feeling. Now, a little word of caution. I am not going to take anything that ChatGPT gives me and use it as my final product. Everything that I put into ChatGPT and it pumps back out to me gets edited for my business, for my brand voice, for my style, for everything that I want my business to stand for. So while this tool can help you to speed along, it is not and should never be the final product. This tool is not going to take over Google for any sort of research, because as of logging into this tool yet again today, it says I have limited knowledge of the world events after 2021. So I don't care what the gurus say, ChatGPT is not taking over any of our search engines anytime soon. However, it is a really good tool when used correctly and ethically to speed your marketing process along, including, like in today's video, we're talking about Pinterest. Now, I'm also going to be showing you Canva's Magic Write tool, which is based on the GPT-3 framework. So if you are in a country where ChatGPT itself is banned, tools like Canva Magic Write are probably not removed from your tool belt. So just be aware of that. Now, there are so many other tools that I would like to review. I have only reviewed one other AI tool, and that was Tailwind Ghostwriter. I just actually released another video today talking about Circle Boom and their AI features. Not in depth though, but this video is in depth and I'm giving you Pinterest prompts that you can plug right into the tool and it will spit things right back out to you. So without further ado, let's just hop right on into the computer and I'm going to show you the prompts and we can walk right through this process together. Okay, so scenario number one is going to be using Pinterest pin titles generated by ChatGPT. So we're going to ask ChatGPT to generate a list of pin titles for us to use in our text overlay on our pin designs. So I'm going to be popping back and forth between my Canva doc, which is where I have my prompts stored, and GPT. So we're going to do GPT first, and then we'll do the Canva version like every other one. So the first prompt is right here, and you can see that on the screen that I'm going to tell GPT to write 5 pin titles using the keyword. So you can see here that we're asking ChatGPT to write 5 pin titles using our main keyword. I've even gone on to tell it how many characters I want it to stick within for that title. Now, just be aware, it's always going to write more than what you tell it. So you can undershoot your character limit if you want. So I've also in this particular formula for this prompt told it what style of voice I want it to write in. You don't have to do this, but I prefer to use different voice styles for my text overlays. And there it goes. It's writing those 5 Pinterest pin titles. Now you can tell it to write 10, 20, 50, 100 if you wanted to. I will say it will not write more than 500 because that is a lot of work for the tool. It's a lot of demand on their servers, especially in the free version. It's not going to do that. So I always limit it, and then anything that I want it to expand on, which I will talk about a bit later, I will take that version and I will tell it, I'll give it a command, please expand, please clarify, etc. Okay, let's take the same version. So just take a peek here at the screen, the items that it popped out for us, the 5. And I'm going to take this same version and we're going to pop it into Canva's Magic Write. So we just need to get rid of that extra word there. And then what we're going to do in Canva is just do the / Magic Write and then tell it what you want it to write and hit enter. And then it's going to start generating those. So I actually want to compare the two because this is on the GPT framework and just see if they're the same. So what I'm going to do is shrink this down and get this 2 screens right next to each other and just see if they're the same. Just for the sake of video, right? Okay. And it looks like they are very similar. The Ultimate Guide, How to Grow Organic Tomatoes Successfully. They're not exactly the same, but they are very similar. And it's because they're on the same framework, which is totally fine. All right, the next example I'm going to give you today, because I don't want this video to be too long, is writing a Pinterest pin description. I'm going to tell it how many characters I want, the main keyword we're going to use, and the target audience that I want it to write for. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one, and I'm going to pop over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to type in really quick, please ignore all previous... I'm telling it, please ignore all previous content. Please write a 300-character description for Pinterest pin talking to women 25 to 45 about how to grow tomatoes in pots on the porch using the keyword growing organic tomatoes. Hit enter and go. Now, the one thing that you don't need to do in Canva Magic Write, if you've separated out your content from what I can see, is tell it to ignore previous commands. And then you can see here, it's always gonna add hashtags. You can gut those suckers out of there. I do not use hashtags. In fact, when I go and edit this description, I would remove them anyways. But if I highlight this and I go to Word Counter Plus on my Chrome extension, it says there's 492 characters, and I told it to write 300 characters. So it's always going to overshoot, and historically what I've seen is 150 to 200 more characters than what you tell it. So don't tell it to write a 500 character description, which is Pinterest standard. Tell it to go under that, much, much less than your top end number. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually gut this and show you the example that I would use once this is done. All right, so here on the screen, you can see the difference between the ChatGPT version of what they gave me for the pin description and my edited version. I always like to edit for voice. I like to edit for context. I like to edit my content that comes from this tool because this is AI, and I want people to think that an actual human wrote this. Plus, I don't want to get slapped with any spam filters or anything like that. So I'm always erring on the side of caution when it comes to using anything that comes from an AI tool. So onward. The last prompt I'm going to give you today is actually how to generate Pinterest idea pin topics in ChatGPT. Before we do that, I need to show you how Canva Magic Write does the same exact description writing. So instead of editing this one for voice, which I don't think we need to do again, I'm just going to have it write the description so you can see the difference between the two. It's much shorter, actually, and it actually included those stinking hashtags again. So we're going to get rid of those, but you can see for the most part, so you can see growing organic tomatoes on your porch with ease. I like a more conversational tone. So I really like ChatGPT's version of this better than Magic Write, actually, the direct GPT tool. Let's hop in and do a prompt to generate Pinterest idea pins. Not idea pins, but idea pin topics. So I'm going to have it actually generate a list of 10 idea pin topics. So I'm going to tell it again, please ignore all previous commands. Now, to get around telling it to do that, you could just start a new chat each time. I don't really want to do that. So what we're doing is we're going to jump right on in, and it's going to just start generating for us these 10 idea pin topics. What I would do is take these topics to Pinterest and search for them and see if there's any research to back up what you're actually wanting to create for. But I think for the most part, these are actually pretty good. Once you have your prompts from ChatGPT, I would actually take these and validate them over on Pinterest for a couple of different reasons. A, for keywords, I want to see what Pinterest is telling us this search brings us, but also for validity. Is this idea something that people are already searching on the platform? Chances are it is, but I always like to validate it. So I always take my prompts and plug them into Pinterest and just see what pops up. Now, this list of 10 is pretty good. I would also audit the list that GPT gives you against your own goals, against your own content. What products do you have? What products are you selling? What freebies do you have to give away for email addresses? If these are in line with that, great. If they're not, you can definitely take these and edit them a little bit. For example, I could take this one for 5 tomatoes to grow in pots on your porch, and I could do it in Arizona. I live in Arizona. My growing season is different than your growing season probably. Or if you're in another country, you could do a country or a state or a city or whatever you want to do. You could even do on your west facing porch, on your south facing porch. Like, you could get so detailed in this. So you can see how you can take a very basic idea and actually expand on it. Now, more on this in a minute, I promise. I'm going to show you a couple of pro tips that you can use with ChatGPT, but I want to show you what Canva's Magic Write does with the same prompt. So go in and do your /. We're going to tell it Magic Write, and we're going to hit go. Paste it and go. And it gives us a very similar list. Yet again, I don't need to show you the back and forth. You can try this out for yourself and just see the difference. But they're very similar lists, and again, it's because they're based on the same framework. So now that you have your list here, what you could do, you have a list of topics, you have a list of pin title ideas and descriptions. The majority of your Pinterest marketing for a week is done. All you need to do now is actually create your Pinterest pins. If you're using Magic Write, all you have to do is open a new file and start designing with those text overlays, and it's that simple. So let's actually move on for a minute. I'm gonna get my little outline out here so I know what I'm talking about. But ChatGPT, you can actually tell it with some further prompts to do a few things for you. You can tell it to write in a tone of voice or a writing style, which I think is very neat. I showed you an example where it was telling it to write in an informative writing style. You can tell it how many characters you want it to write. Again, I would always undershoot that number. You can tell it to format your content if you wanted to, that it's giving you into a table. You just have to tell it how many columns you want it to write for you. And you can even tell it to clarify or expand, which is what I want to show you now. So in ChatGPT, what you can do is take that topic that you want it to write about or expand on and say, please expand on this, and it will expand on it for you. If you want it to expand on the topic, but you don't want it to do what it's doing right now on the screen, you will need to tell it to expand in a specific way. So please expand the ideas on this topic, or please expand with a list of 5 more ideas on this topic. You can see how you could definitely expand that. You could also tell it, please ignore all previous commands and give me 5 more topic ideas on this, and then paste in the topic that you liked from the previous list. And it will actually do what I had just said a moment ago for you. So it's how to choose the right pots for your porch tomatoes, tips for starting your porch tomatoes from seed, indoors, companion planting for healthier, more productive porch tomatoes. I love how it's calling them porch tomatoes. I chose this topic because I'm actually growing tomatoes right now myself in my own backyard. And this is just a topic I've never talked about on the channel before. So I thought it was easy for people to visualize. However, you can see how you can really get nerdy with ChatGPT and you can tell it what you want. It's not as, like, you don't have to be stuck in this little bubble of, please create 5 Pinterest pin titles for me using this topic. No, you can get so much more detailed. So now that you know how to use ChatGPT and Pinterest prompts together to power up your Pinterest marketing strategy, I've actually put together 3 super in-depth Pinterest prompts that you can use in your marketing strategy for everything that we talked about today: titles, descriptions, and idea pin generating topics. These prompts are actually much more in depth than the ones that I showed you in this video today. In fact, they are pulled straight from my paid membership site, and these are things that I only give to students. So definitely go grab those 3 free prompts. The link for that is in the description down below, and you will get that in your email inbox immediately, or within 15 minutes. And in the meantime, I would love to see you right over here where we're talking about optimizing your Pinterest pins for success. I'll see you right over there.